Welcome to Meet the Makers, our interview-style podcast on all things the finals. I'm your host, Dusty Gustafson. During our second closed beta, we assembled 2 members of the dev team every day to help dig into specific areas of the game and answer questions from our Discord community. Today's topic is movement. Movement is a huge topic here at Embark. The Finals is a fast-paced, dynamic shooter with enormous potential for creative traversal. What's more, it's a game where movement and destruction are server-side, so it is the heart and soul of the multiplayer action that defines our arenas. Today I have with me Arvid and Mikael. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Thank you.
Arvid is a technical animator for the Finals, and Mikael is our animation director. Both Arvid and Mikael are Embark old-timers, practically part of the furniture around here. Both having joined the studio just as it was founded back in 2019. So, Arvid, kick us off and tell us what you do as the technical animator for the Finals. And also, what's the difference between an animator and a technical animator?
Hi everybody, I'm Arvid. I work as a technical animator, and I'm one of the, we have a couple of technical animators at Embark actually, and on the Finals project specifically. Almost every discipline has this divide between content and code, where you have, for art, you have, rendering engineers, and then you have the tech artist that bridges the gap between them. And a technical animator sort of bridges the gap between code and animation, so animation engineering and animation content. As a technical animator, you're sort of responsible for interpreting the two sides of sometimes the conflict. Oftentimes we're very friendly with each other. We do everything from rigging and deformation of characters to runtime animation and procedural animation, math-heavy transform type of stuff. Brain stuff. Yeah, that's thanks. I didn't say it.
And Mikael, what's the role of an animation director?
Yeah, not the brain stuff, right?
You said that.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Mikael, animation director here on the Finals.
The biggest brain.
Oh my God. The animation director at Embark is, I get the pleasure to lead the animation team here. We're a small outfit, but we're a awesome outfit, I might say. We have a few animators and a few technical animators, and I get to be the guy that tastes the soup, I guess, and I can discuss with everyone if we're, getting to where we want to be, or if we have some ways to go, and, making sure that everything looks and feels as good as it can in the game.
Excellent. And thank you. Okay, let's look at some of the questions that we got from our community of players. We have several folks actually asking us questions about movement momentum and how we're thinking about balancing that. We know there have been some pretty big updates to movement between CB1 and CB2. What are the biggest changes between then and now?
All right, should I start?
Yeah, go.
Okay. Movement was a big topic for us after CB1. We got tons of feedback. So first of all, I just want to, reach out and thank all of you for, reporting issues, feedback, and, your opinions on the game. I think you put out a survey as well, Arvid, to dig deep into, what was not working. And
we see everything on Discord.
Yes, we read everything. So huge thank you to everyone for that. So going into CB1, I can be honest to say that we weren't maybe as ready with it as we wanted to be. So there were a few things that we knew was going to be, standing out as not being perfect or polished, if you may. So one of those things that was also popping up a lot in the feedback was jumping and in-air movement and traversing in general, like vaulting, stuff like that. So I would say the biggest changes that we have made for this test is to improve all of that. Arvid will go into some technical details, I think, about this, but the jumping was not up to par. It was not reliable. It's definitely an area where you need to feel like you're in control, especially if you're running around on Seoul and you jump on ledges and stuff. You don't want the game to shove you off the ledge to your death.
Or peek down a house in Monaco.
And just slide off. So those were, every time we saw that was very, very rough.
Straight in the heart.
Yeah, straight in the heart. So, so those are the major updates. And of course, we've done more updates. Important though is that we're not done, obviously. There is tons of stuff still in the game. It's every time we play the game and, we enter up on some hitch or stutter or, thing that breaks our flow. It just hurts our eyeballs and our brains. So we need to find it and fix it. So it's more to come for sure. And keep the feedback coming. We're seeing it, we're reading it, and we're fixing it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yes. Thank you, Discord. Many may not know this, but movement and destruction in the finals are very much related topics. Given that this game's movement and destruction happen on the server side rather than on the client side, can you elaborate on how this actually works and what your biggest challenges have been?
Yeah, this is quite a big topic. So the easiest thing to do as a game dev would just to have a big server somewhere where every player does some kind of cloud gaming thing where they send their inputs to the server and they get a video stream back. But that's not really feasible because of latency issues and whatnot. So what we want to do. Let's back up a little bit. Every time you add something to your game that now lives on client machines, not the big server machine, you add a little tiny seed of, discrepancy, a chance for a misprediction or something going slightly differently on your client versus the server, etc. And then we need to correct that somehow. And we have a lot of moving parts in this game. So, what we started with was we said, what if we just put all of the destruction on the server? We don't let the clients mispredict anything. We don't run physics on the clients at all. So we push all of the, the dynamism bits over to the server, and we just send out the network data so that the clients get the correct transforms for the moving platforms, the debris piles, etc. And then on top of that, of course, it would be easiest to just send your input to the server and then wait for the round trip, and then you get the delayed response back, and then your character moves forward. But that's not really good enough. That was the jump feel from CB1 that we've improved on for CB2. So the way our model works is that we, as much as possible, where we can, we sort of cheat a little bit. So we wait for that round trip from the server to get back to you, because then we can ensure that you stay in sync with the server as much as possible. We don't have to correct things or anything like that. And we have a couple of tricks up our sleeve that sort of hides this fact from you as much as possible. That's sort of our movement model, I guess. So we run this, we can summarize it like we run this thin prediction wrapper on top of our gameplay. And then we try and minimize the amount of prediction that we have as much as possible so that we can stay true to, what the server is saying, because the server down the line is the truth of what's happening in the game.
I mean, that's pretty groundbreaking stuff. Let's rewind the clock a bit. What was the journey like from concept to reality, especially on something that sounds like it was actually a pretty big bet for the entire game?
Yeah, I mean, starting on this, the proposal of running movement on the server is scary to a game dev, and I guess that's why we work here. We do scary stuff, and we try to just make the scary stuff not scary anymore, I guess. But it's been a journey. It's movement in an FPS is it's pivotal. Like you need to have that crisp. You need to feel in control of your character.
Yeah, we could actually mention, on where it started
Yeah,
was
sure.
on Arc Raiders, or other title that we're working on, where we did a full server-side movement implementation where we masked quite successfully, I might add, the response delay from keyboard press to character moving by trusting animation, because Arc Raiders has a 3P character in view on the screen. We have we can show that your character is getting the response quite quickly, and we can work with camera movement, character movement, anticipation, animation, etc. But then when we tried the same trick on the finals, you don't really have a character that you can look at. You are your camera in an FPS shooter.
So it's more difficult. And I think, starting out in the beginning, of course, this felt really strange to everyone since we're used to playing FPS games. And, we had a lot of healthy feedback from the team on these things.
A lot of versions on what this feels like, yeah.
And it's... and that's been great. I mean, that's how basically we've been working with. We try stuff. We see, what the reaction is. We have a few or quite a lot of good players. I'm not one of them on the team, and they have instructed us where we're going wrong, and then pat us on the back when we're doing right. So. And of course, these tests that we run right now is also for you guys to tell us where we're doing it right and where we're doing it wrong. So it's a huge help. I mean, that's what these tests are for us, is to see does it fly, does it not fly, does it where we need to correct, where we need not to correct.
Yeah.
Some things that might seem very, very difficult to fix might actually be quite easy, and
vice versa.
Yeah. So again, we appreciate the feedback and keep hammering on it.
Yep.
Great. And I think that leads us really well into our next question, just from a Discord member named Camson. How was the grapple ability for the light class designed and implemented in the finals? It feels so much more realistic than other games. Oh, thank you, Camson.
We have a couple of pillars for the game that we're trying to live up to, and something that we've said for movement is we want this concept of flow, and what I'm going to brand this now. I like the term kinetic affordance, where if it feels like we're all physical beings, right? So if somebody drops a football, I can sort of predict, and I know what that's going to look like and feel like, and the timings of that bounce and everything. So when you do something in our game, when you pick up a flower pot and you throw it, or you use the grapple hook, which is a great example of where this really works, is that we want to feed into the if I was a super, I have super strong legs and arms and I can actually hold this rope at these velocities, this is more or less what it would feel like. That's what we strive for. This, hyper realism where we go hard into, we don't want to break what you think is going to happen. Yeah. And I think the grapple hook is a good example of where we just live up to that.
Yeah, this goes for everything in the game and for all game studios out there, is the collaboration between different disciplines. So animation movement is of course one part of it, and then we have design doing their stuff, and then the sound and the VFX as well. I think we had right before CB2 we got some sounds added and a little spark when you attach to the surface, and it's just it's the grädde på moset, as we say in Sweden. I don't know what that means in English, but it's the cherry on the top, I guess, is the
cream on the potato mash. That can't be right.
I don't know. That's disgusting.
That's a new one. That's Swedish phrases.
Why do we say that?
Yeah, why do we say that?
Yeah. Anyway, so it's the collaboration, and the team here is obviously amazing to work with, and they collaborate well. So I guess that's the magic sauce.
And it goes to, it feeds into what we were saying before, right? Where we have this movement model where we need everybody to help with, like, if we don't really want to predict fully, we need to work with all disciplines involved: audio, effects, animation, art, etc., where we can sell, we are responsive. We got your inputs as fast as possible. Yeah. Shout out to Audio Andreas in the room.
Heyo.
And Herman, who worked a lot on the grappling hook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, well, you guys heard it here first. Kinetic affordance.
Yeah.
Let's make it a thing.
I'm going to get so many videos of people going like, oh, do you think this looks like reality?
Good, and we'll learn so much from those videos.
You said it.
Yeah, send feedback. Yeah.
All right, here's a question from Speakerman1, who wonders if there are any plans to add more movement options to the heavy build.
Ooh, I think that's a great question. So I think for the game right now, I mean, there is a philosophy in here that we look at the different builds and we give them the abilities that they should excel at. I think the heavy should not excel at movement as much as the light, for example, but it should have its ways to perform the task. I think you talked about this earlier, Arvid. Maybe you want to...
Yeah, I think we have, it's a build your own hero, right? But we still want there to be, much like, kinetic affordance, trademark, hashtag. We have this idea of, if you see, I have some preconceptions. If I see, this big, bulky, super strong character running around, I have some ideas on what is that person able to do. Of course, it can run through walls. That's a great mobility gadget for the heavy. And if I look at the light, I associate that with, acrobatics or speedy movement, where we give them gadgets like grapple hooks or dashes. The medium is always medium, but an idea that we have for the medium is that it can do a bit more of a support role, where I like this example of how do the three body types get up on the rooftop, right? Where the light swings majestically with a grapple hook and lands on top. The medium deploys a zip line that the entire team can use, and the heavy, slogs up the stairs and then blows a C4 hole in the ceiling and jumps up. Yeah.
So will there be more movement stuff?
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe not a grapple hook.
Maybe not a grapple hook for the heavy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe not.
yeah.
All right, here's a question for both of you. How did you get into this industry? What were some of the early games that you worked on? And do you have any tips for listeners curious about what it takes to become an animator?
All right. Yeah, I have to think now. I'm getting so old. It's a long time ago. I mean, as a kid, I was the kid that, I went to friends' houses that had games that I wanted to play. I love games. Like, it's been a passion all my life. We had consoles back then. It was like the NES and it's the Genesis, I think, and the other it was a Mega Drive in Sweden. And I played everything. I tried to, get my hands on all the games. Of course, I couldn't do that. They were very expensive. Still are, some of them. Not our game, though. It's free. Yeah. But I didn't know that you could work with games. I guess I was also a stupid kid. So I studied natural science in school, and I kind of what I learned from that was that I didn't want to do that. It was good though. I mean, I learned a lot, but it was not for me. So I had I was lucky enough there was this pamphlet that was sent to my parents' house, and it said, do you want to work in films and games? And I was like, yes, please, why not? I've always been doing art. I've been drawing. I've not done animation. I've done like dabbles in animation as a kid, and super interesting, but it wasn't really something on my radar at that point. So I went to this education. It was 2 years. There was a lot of practical work in that, and then I was lucky enough to get a job in England at a studio called Lionhead Studios, which unfortunately is not with us anymore. A fantastic studio. I worked at the first Fable for a very short time, and then I got moved to another project, which maybe not a lot of you know, but the movies. So I worked on that for about 3 years, and that was animation heavy. It was 3D Studio Max. It was 15 frames per second, and it was hand key, all of it. So I learned a ton from doing that, and also all the talented people that worked there, I learned a lot from. But as you do, you get homesick and you move back, and I moved back to Sweden. So I started at DICE, and I was thinking maybe I should do this for a little bit, and I stayed for about 15 years. Doing the Battlefields and the Battlefronts and those kind of games. So I've been, I've been living, breathing FPS games for a very long time, and still love it. It's super fun. And of course, after that, I joined Embark 2019. Was that what you said, right, Dusty? Like a furniture?
Is what I said.
What kind of furniture am I? Chair?
A majestic something.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Mahogany.
Mahogany. All right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
The other question was, do you have any tips for becoming an animator? So, I mean, what I see, people coming from school nowadays, I wouldn't stand a chance, with my scrappy portfolio back in the days. People doing animation right now are doing amazing things. So we see it in the applications that we get. And so I don't know if I can give any tips like that.
Go to school.
Go to school. That's a good tip. Thank you. I think the other tip that I can give you is, and it's maybe a bit Embark specific, but you want to work at Embark, right?
Everybody does.
Yes, of course.
I would.
So I think it's you need to extend beyond animation. So something that we do here is that we like to just push people a little bit into different disciplines. Like, so if you're an animator and you're an expert at animating, we try to encourage you to maybe go into design or coding or whatever, audio, things like that, because it makes you understand the process of making a game as a whole. And we also encourage you to, be responsible for your feature.
Take ownership.
Take ownership. Implement it all the way. Don't sit with lists of animations and just, go through them. Implement it all the way into the engine, make it feel right in the controller or the keyboard or the mouse, and make sure that, you keep it functioning. I think that makes it more fun, because then, you are, you're the one tweaking it. You're the one feeling it. You're the one, doing the thing together with everyone else. And also you can speak the same language with
and it goes both ways. So we want the other disciplines to then, learn a little bit of animation, so that if you have this cool idea, then you can do almost the entire implementation with a little bit of help from the sides, and then vice versa. So somebody might come to our animation crew and go like, I have this idea and I've prototyped this thing and here it is. And then we go, nice.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, when I joined Embark, and Arvid's going to laugh now, but, I tried to start, learn how to program. And I don't know how to program, obviously, but I know how to cut and paste.
Copy-paste coding.
Yeah. It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's probably the bugs that you see in the game.
No, that's all me.
Yeah, right. All right, that was a long answer.
Yeah. Is it my turn?
It's your turn.
Okay. I did not have, like, I tried to go to all my friends who had video games as a kid. We didn't have consoles at home. We were always like this PC family with C64, Amiga, but those were, more like work machines and not really game machines, at least the way I remember it. I was very young. I grew up with, one game at a time. We had one PC game, and then I just only played that in our basement constantly. And then we would get another game, and that would be my life, And then, drawing a lot as a kid was always fun. I had a brother who was a really talented artist. We would look at, Warhammer magazines, and he would draw a thing really good, and then I would try and copy his copy of the magazine, etc. And then, a bit later in high school, this website started called conceptart.org in 2006, I believe, where I found it by chance, really, where I realized that if you can draw or paint and you can do it digitally, hopefully, there's this career that I didn't even know about that was concept arting. So I started hanging out I live in Sweden, so midnight here was when all the ventrilo folks in the States woke up, where I would, draw digitally all night and then try and improve my craft there. And then all of a sudden they went like, well, you want this, if you want to have a nice and steady career with a steady pay, you should go into 3D, because they need so many people, and I'm a comfy guy. So I thought, why not 3D? And as it turns out, in my hometown, and I didn't really know, there was a school for computer graphics that I applied to and got in. And while I was there, I went from 2D to said 3D, and I went, yes, hard surface modeling. This is going to be my call in life. And then a couple of months later, I went, I'm kind of done hard surface modeling now. What else is there? And then you go to sculpting, and then, sculpting is awesome. And then, I've done this now a lot. So what else is there? And then I kept going. What else is there? Until at the end of that 3-year education, I sort of found code and rigging and Python, which is a scripting language. And then I made this face rig demo and sent that to DICE and got an internship doing facial deformation and cutscene work on Mirror's Edge Catalyst at the time. And then from there, I worked on Battlefront, Battlefield, and then when did you say? I've already forgotten.
2019.
2019. What furniture am I? And
I think you're a beautiful lamp.
Nice. The lamp.
Perfect.
And here I've been part of, setting up the early embryo that thankfully we have way better tech anims at that department than I am that has taken over. But things like how we work with animation data, how we bring motion capture data onto our rigs, etc. Now I'm work more as a like a runtime animation type of role in the kinetic movement team. Math, transforms, that kind of stuff. The brains, the lamp brains. If I had a tip for, much like Mikael said, multidisciplinary, if not for your career, it's for me at least, it's a lot more fun where you can sort of flex your muscles a little bit more, where you can go, I really want to do this feature, and I know this one area very well. And I guess I can copy paste from, YouTube tutorials or whatever. I can copy paste my way around the other stuff. It won't be perfect, but it will be something. And having creative freedom is something that we really strive for at Embark. We look for those kinds of people. T-shaped, I think, is the correct term for them.
T-shaped.
Yeah.
Killer tips. Thank you, guys. All right. It's that time again for another egg-citing egg edition of our closing eggtivity to honor our glorious spokes egg, the Namatama, as well as to continue the great tradition here at Embark of telling awful puns. I want to invite each of you to shell out an egg joke.
Oh my, I don't know, I have so many.
Just off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head. What did the egg say after it was ghosted?
What?
Why are you ignoring me?
Deep
Follow
breaths. Yeah, deep breaths.
Beat that, Arvid.
I don't have the big brains. I don't keep these things in my head. So I asked our AI overlords to write me an egg joke. And here it is. Why did the egg refuse to fight with the bacon?
Why?
It didn't want to get fried.
Thank you. It was really fit the tradition of terrible jokes.
People are leaving.
Eggo.
They're leaving. I'm so sorry, everyone. All right. That is all for today's episode of Meet the Makers. Thank you so much for listening. If you're hungry for more, please join our Discord community and make sure to play the finals when it finally releases.